The following podcast is sponsored by Structure Tech.
On today's episode, we want to talk about what does successful home ownership look like? And it's like, can you run your house like a business to be super successful? Welcome everybody. You're listening to Structure Talk, a Structure Tech presentation. My name is Bill Ulrich, alongside Tessa Murray and Reuben Saltzman. As always, we're back as a full posse today. Tessa, good to see you back in the mix.
Thank you.
Yeah, we missed you.
You know, it sounds like you guys had a great time.
You know who really missed you was James Thomas.
It sounds like you guys had a great time with James Thomas from Ashy.
Yeah.
James was a good guest.
Yeah, James was sorry that you weren't on the show. He was really looking forward to doing the show with you, but, you know, that's okay. Last minute stuff comes up. It's all right.
He knew the brains of the project was missing, and that's why he was disappointed. He's left with the brawn.
That's right.
So. I'm sure you guys handled it just fine without me.
Yeah. Well, we're glad to have you back, and we're glad that you're going to be in on this conversation today, because on today's episode, we want to talk about what does successful home ownership look like? And in a weird way, it's like, can you run your house like a business to be super successful? And that sounds really weird, and I'm sure half of the people who are listening have now turned off their streaming devices. But what we mean by that is you're buying a house, and there are going to be things that just wear out over time. So, Reuben, do you budget for those things?
Heck yes, I do.
You do, Tessa?
Yeah.
Do you?
I wish I could say that we did. I live in a condo, so it's a little bit different. There are some things that I know will be upcoming expenses, but it's not the same as owning a single family detached home.
All right. So today what we're going to talk about is we're going to give you that punch list for your specific condo, but houses and condos are not that dissimilar. I mean, yeah, you don't have to replace the roof, but your association does. And they better be budgeting for that. And your furnace, is it a furnace that you own?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
How old is it?
Furnace and AC, and the furnace is about 10 years old.
Okay, so you've got some life left in it.
Hopefully.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, we wanted to talk about that a little bit. So I personally feel like I just replaced all of my major mechanicals, and Reuben politely showed me today in a conversation that they're almost halfway through their service lives already. I feel like we just...
He did it. You hear that, Tessa? That's what we laugh about homeowners doing all the time, where they say, yeah, I just replaced all this. And it's like, nope, you replaced it 10 years ago.
That's funny.
It was 2011. My furnace was 2012. My water heater was 2011. AC was at the same time as the furnace. So.
And it feels like yesterday.
And I put $0 aside for replacement. And so now I'm going to have to accelerate that planning process.
Well, yeah. But it changes today.
That's right. So, Reuben, how do you run the Saltzman family home?
You know, if you had asked me a year ago, I would have said no. But we've started to get really intentional about it. I'd say really after reading this book called Profit First. You read that, Tessa? Yeah? Bill, I know you've read it.
I've read it, yes. I can't pronounce the author's name, but go
that's
for
okay.
it if you
Fine
want.
gentleman.
Yeah,
And,
Mike M.
Huh?
Mike M.
Okay, all right, sounds good. Michalowicz?
I think so, yeah.
I'm going with Michalowicz. The book is all about running your business, really. And it's saying that the traditional model of calculating profit is where you take all of your income and you subtract your expenses, and whatever you're left over with is your profit. That's what everybody always does. But this Profit First kind of flips it on its head, and they say you need to design your profit. You figure out what you want your profit to be. If you want to be 10% profitable, you set up a bunch of different bank accounts. You have a bank account for income, and if you get a check for $100, you put all $100 into your income account, and then you transfer $10 to your profit account. And you do that first. It's a psychological thing. That's the first transfer you make. And then you transfer some of that money to owner's compensation. You transfer some to tax. You transfer some to operating expenses. But it's a matter of doing it backwards from the way that everybody traditionally does. And it makes you be very intentional on what your profit is going to be. And whenever you have expenses that come up, maybe expenses that you don't really need to incur, things that are kind of like, hey, should we do this? Yeah, it's a great idea. It really makes you look at your operating expenses account and say, look, the money just isn't physically there.
Right. I can't spend it.
Yeah. So, I mean, it really changes your spending habits. It's changed the way we save money at Structure Tech a lot. And I convinced my wife that we need to do this for our home. And so we did the same thing. We have an income account where any money we get goes to income, and then it gets divided up into different buckets. We've got giving, we've got savings, we've got spending. And that's what we used to have, but we recently kind of divided out the spending / operating expenses account into a bunch of other smaller accounts, one of them which is the home.
Furnace?
And well, yeah. I mean, we haven't broken it down that far. I mean, maybe we need to break this down even further. But right now, what I think we're allocating something like 30% of our income to the mortgage and homeowners type insurance and expenses related to owning a home. Things like, well, I don't know what's in there. I'd have to ask my wife. She's more in charge of this than I am.
Is your natural gas bill in that 30%?
I was just going to say natural gas, and we may have a separate bucket for utilities. I can't remember. We probably should. But, I mean, I know one thing we're saving for is new guards on our deck. We have a deck where it's fairly large. It's
What's a
big
guard on your deck?
Well, people call it a guardrail.
Oh,
And
okay.
The guardrail is only the top portion of a guard assembly. And then the middle infill is typically, never mind. Guards.
Nerd.
I didn't know there's a difference between guardrail and guard, Reuben.
Well, all right. I'm sorry. I apologize. Guardrail.
So are you only
The same way for
replacing
new
the
guardrails.
guards, or are you replacing the whole guardrail?
The guard assembly, everything. The
Okay,
post,
gotcha. All
the
right.
top rail, the bottom rail.
Gotcha.
We digress.
infill.
I'm sorry.
But it's a lot. It is a ridiculous amount of lineal footage because I got this stairway that wraps around and it goes up and down. And I mean, I didn't think it was that much, but I talked to a couple contractors. They're like, yeah, you're not touching this for less than $10,000. And so, I mean,
Jeez.
it's a lot of guard.
I'm glad I don't have a
Guardrail.
deck.
Me too.
Oh, man,
Wow.
it's my first deck ever.
Decks
At
are
least
expensive.
First one with a guardrail. My last house, that was the only house in my neighborhood without a guard. I digress. But
You mean like somebody who stood out front? You said you're the only house in the neighborhood without a guard.
did I say guard? I meant to say deck. I'm loopy. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm focused on that word now.
That's okay. That's okay.
But yeah, I mean, I knew we were going to have to do it, and it's falling apart. The other day, it was a really heavy wind, and like a chair blew against the guard. The bottom rail fell out.
Oh.
And all of the metal spindles or balusters or whatever, all the metal ones fell out. So it's just this big gaping hole. My wife's like, Reuben, we should probably do something about that.
Sounds like your home
Yeah.
inspector missed something when he did the home inspection.
Oh, I knew it. And
We should
just
all
knew
take
this was a big
videos of all the
expense.
things that are a problem at our own houses because
Oh my gosh.
I could list, I could show you all the switch plate covers that are missing and outlet covers that are missing.
Yes.
Trim that's missing. Yep.
It's like what's the old saying? The cobbler's son or something is the one without shoes
Yeah.
or something like that. Yeah. No, my house really isn't that bad. I knew this was going to be a big expense. I deliberated doing it this year or next year, and we pushed it off to next year. But I was kind of regretting that, thinking, I could have done it this year.
Good thing you don't have really little kids or tiny pets.
That's the deciding factor. Yeah. My kids are old enough to know better at this point.
Yeah.
So that's why we're pushing it off. But yeah, they're not safe. But the point is, I get so sidetracked here, Bill.
Yes,
the
you
point
do.
is, we know it's coming, and we're setting aside money for it today. It's a
Perfect.
planned expense.
All right, good. So you're not going to be surprised in the day that you have to write that check. It's not going to be like a tension-filled day. You just go to the deck fund checking account and you write out a check number 001 because it can't be that often that you actually write that check out. But nevertheless, it's good to. All right, what other items are we putting money aside for?
Well, I think you already mentioned it, furnace and air conditioner. I mean, I live in a home that's 17 years old. It's the original appliances. Those are coming due any day.
So do you hug it on a regular basis just to
absolutely.
get some more life
Well, you
out
got
of
to
it?
talk to it too. You can't just you got to.
It's funny. I was just thinking for AC units, since I live in a condo, our condenser's on the roof. And so I don't go up there on a regular basis,
No.
to check it. And I think when we bought it, I did go up there, and I remember it was an R22 refrigerant, which we talked about on another episode. But this summer, on some really hot days when it was like in the 90s, our AC could not keep up with the thermostat. And it kept sending us, we have an Ecobee, it kept sending us an alert, like your system's not working properly. And I was freaking out. I'm like, oh man, are we low on refrigerant? Are we going to have to replace this AC unit? It's going to be so expensive. And then I did a quick test on it. The delta T, the temperature difference, was fine. So I'm like, what's going on here? Yeah, so the AC was not keeping up with the thermostat, and so our Ecobee thermostat was telling us, there's a problem with your AC. It's not cooling properly. So I was really nervous that it was a problem with the refrigerant. So I did our delta T temp. I measured the intake and the return air temp, and everything was fine. So I was like, why is it not cooling properly? And then I realized our supply registers were closed in our main living space. All of them were closed because we just recently had our ductwork cleaned, and it must have messed up the vents. So I opened them up and it was fine. Check your supply registers and make sure they're all open if you have rooms that are too hot.
Oh, no doubt.
But yeah, that was scary to me because I'm like, we're going to have to start budgeting for replacing this AC unit.
So what does that cost you? I mean, how many more square feet is your unit, your condo?
It's I think 1,100 square feet.
So, Reuben, magic number, what's the dollar amount on that one?
I have no idea.
Oh, come on,
sorry.
guess.
Someone's going to tell me how wrong I am after this podcast.
I'm glad you're not asking me that question, Bill.
3,500 to 5,000.
4,200.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Right in the middle of it. Yeah.
Good. Okay.
So we're in the same ballpark.
Yeah.
Depending on the bells and whistles and how many sears or how many tons or however they size up air conditioners.
And also, too, I just don't know how much labor is going to be to get up on a roof to have it replaced, And
don't they have an elevator that goes right to the rooftop?
No.
Oh.
No, it's...
You got to carry it up that ladder?
Yeah, it's not convenient. So, that part of it is unknown. But anyways.
When a crane was on site when they were building it, it was easy to put all 40 of them up there.
Exactly.
So, okay, so that's...
So, sorry to interrupt, but like you said, Reuben, like HVAC stuff is always a big deal. Furnaces, boilers, AC, water heaters.
Water heater. I mean, all that's guaranteed to need replacement. I mean, the good news about a water heater, if you're comfortable doing it yourself, I mean, you can get away with under $500. If you're not comfortable doing it yourself, I mean, somewhere, I don't remember. Last time I was getting quotes, well, it was somewhere in the neighborhood of 1,000. I've got producer Larry telling me 1,500. Yeah. I don't know exactly what it is, but whatever it is, it's not one of those break the bank type of things.
I'm budgeting ridiculous. For two personally.
2,000.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
A power vent, 50 gallons.
Power vent is more.
Poor
Tessa likes power vent.
Drag that in and out.
You know what? It's okay. I am a fan of them because you don't ever have to worry about combustion safety issues. Yeah. So
Reuben's kids get the 25-gallon tank for $350, and they always have cold water.
No, I've got a power vent in my house. I just don't like it because it's noisy. Every time I go down there to my furnace room to record a video or something, I start recording and then it fires up. Stupid water heater. Yeah, I don't like it.
Only you would complain about the noise because how many people go down to their utility room to film videos?
Not a lot, admittedly.
Less than 1/10 of 1% of the population of this country.
It's not my only reason for not liking them.
Yeah, they are more difficult to install. You have to have a place to vent them out, the labor costs.
And if your power goes out, you got no hot water.
True.
There's that.
First world problems.
Yeah. What do you need if your power goes out?
Hot water.
Are you going to shower in the dark?
Hot shower.
In the dark.
Candlelight. Yeah. Right. I've got so many flashlights, though. Candles are a thing of the past.
All right.
Yeah.
So, as a successful homeowner, do we wait for a big hailstorm to get our roof replaced, or do we plan for replacement?
Well, you're asking what we do or what we should do?
Yes.
I'll tell you, for me, it's definitely wait for a hailstorm. No doubt about it.
A lot of people in Minnesota, I think, go that route.
Yeah, it's called winning a new roof.
Yeah.
That's what everybody calls it. I mean, who actually pays to have their roof replaced? I mean, it's not to say we don't have a huge problem here.
Yeah.
Like, there needs to be some type of reform with insurance companies when nobody ends up having to pay for new roofs. At least that's what it feels like to me. I talk to everyone.
I don't feel bad for the insurance companies. I don't.
Well, it's not that we feel bad for them, but it's just that we're all paying for this. We're paying too much for insurance.
Yeah, the premiums.
And we're tearing off roofs that are perfectly good. And you know what? Someone's going to say, well, they got little dings. Shut up. Don't care. Those roofs are perfectly good. Don't give me that. What I hear all these roofing contractors say, no, the roofs are fine. Sure, the hail has taken off, maybe a year or two off of this for the 20 years of life you have. That's no need to tear it off and replace it.
Yeah.
I think we're just totally messed up with the way that we treat hail damage. But again, we're going down a rabbit hole here. I'm sorry.
I think Charles says that on his commercial. Charles Thayer from All Around.
What's that?
He says, you don't need to worry about your roof after the hailstorm. It's not going to leak. It's not a problem. Just calm down. Go have a cup of coffee. We'll talk about it later.
Yes.
And I like that approach.
He's a smart man, that Charles. I like him.
All right, so we're replacing roofs on a regular basis, air conditioners, furnaces, water heaters. What else? Those kind of the big three. I mean,
I suppose appliances too.
Yeah, appliances.
Those have a limited life.
That's actually a good one, Reuben, because I think appliances these days, the average life expectancy is 10 years for washers, dryers, dishwashers.
I don't even know. Producer Larry's nodding his head.
I think so. So that's a big chunk of cash to have to replace all your appliances.
We've been in our house since 2002, and it had an old dryer when we moved in, and that thing is still just humming away. So.
That's an exception though to the rule. When you have a dryer that's from 1970 or those things will last forever.
Yeah. The problem is now they have, I think it's called designed obsolescence. Because if you build an appliance that lasts forever, you don't sell appliances.
Exactly.
So I think they kind of design them to fail after a certain time.
I don't want to believe that. I want to believe in the goodness of manufacturers, not the planned obsolescence.
Me too. I don't know this for certain. It's just what I've heard other people say, and it makes a lot of sense.
Direct all comments to Reuben Saltzman.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, we should talk about HomeBinder too, and what that can do for people trying to plan and treat their home like a business.
Okay, so HomeBinder, please explain. Reuben?
Bill, you're really good at it.
All right, what is HomeBinder? HomeBinder is an amazing tool to help you track all of these things that eventually are going to go out. So what is HomeBinder? It is a basically digital vault where you put all the information that you've done to your house, be it paint, be it replacement of a furnace, a roof, whatever, you just store it in the HomeBinder. And anytime you have a question about, what did I buy? When did I buy it? You can just open up the HomeBinder and boom, all that information's right there.
Yeah. Who did the work? Did they pull a permit? What type of material did we use? What type of floor covering was this? What was the dye lot?
What was the name of it? Yeah. And really savvy homeowners know that they can leverage up the value of their house by using a binder, by being like, I don't remember all the details, but you, new homeowner, when I sell to you, I'm just going to give you the binder and you don't lose any information because of the sale.
Yes. And not only that, but HomeBinder keeps track of everything that you have. You enter all the data about all of your stuff, and then it gives you service reminders like, hey, you said that you've got gutters. Don't forget to blow them out in the fall. They'll send you a fall reminder about that. If you've got, a water heater, right? I can't even think of what they tell you.
Change your furnace filter.
Furnace filter.
Yeah.
Furnace filter. Yeah, they send you monthly reminders on all that stuff. I mean, to what you're saying, Bill, I did this when I sold my last home. I was diligent about taking photos of all of my projects. Like when I replaced my front door, there was a bunch of rot underneath it. I took all these pictures of all the rot, step by step. Here's removing the rim joist. Here's putting new stuff back in. Here's how we flashed it. I showed all that. And so I've got documentation of everything. And when I went to sell my house, when I went to list it, I printed out the whole HomeBinder. It was like 30 pages long, all the color photos of all my projects. And it was just kind of a supplement saying this manual goes with the home. And then you transfer that digital file to the new homeowners, and then they continue that. And it's basically something that's designed to go along with the house.
Confidence equals value. If I know what you did, I have more confidence, and I'm not going to be nickel and diming you or like trying to have a conversation. Well, I don't see any permits for that project, so what did you really do?
Yeah.
who worked on it.
It's like when you buy a car, if you're buying like a used car, you want to see the, the receipts and the, all the information about the maintenance of that vehicle.
Yeah, service records.
Exactly. I mean, why don't houses have that?
Yes, that is a perfect analogy.
But now they do. And so why do we know so much about HomeBinder, Reuben?
Well, it's because we give it to all of our clients with every inspection. It's a paid service. It's not like HomeBinder's paying us. They don't mine any data. We don't mine data. All this is a service that we at Structure Tech pay a lot of money for, actually.
Yeah, it's a fair amount.
We pay for a home binder, and then every one of our clients who gets a home inspection gets their inspection report uploaded to home binder, along with any other services they get from us, radon, sewer inspection, chimney inspection, all that fun stuff gets uploaded into home binder to kind of get them started. And then it's up to the purchaser to complete the home binder. And basically, they just log in and say yes, activate it, make it official, and then they've got a nice head start on it. And I think it's an awesome tool. Yep. I've had great luck using it myself.
It's just one of those things you have to get used to using. It's like storing anything important. If you don't put it where it belongs, you'll forget where it is and so on and so forth. I had a conversation with a mortgage guy about 3 weeks ago, and he was saying that on average, homeowners should budget 5 to 7% per year for annual maintenance.
Whoa. I've heard of maybe 1 to 2%.
Yeah, his number was higher. I know it he at least said 5%, and I thought he said higher.
Of the total cost of the home?
Yeah, on a yearly basis.
Wow.
Huh.
Okay, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, I was going to say, it depends, too, on the condition of the house when you buy it and the age of the house, too, of really what you should be budgeting. I mean, if you buy a brand new house, you're not going to have any major expenses for at least 10 to 20 years.
Yeah.
Probably, versus if you buy a house where all the mechanicals are at the end of their life, the roof's at the end of its life, the driveway's you're really going to have, to up your budgeting for something like that.
Or accelerate your budgeting.
Yeah, accelerate it, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, let's just think about buying a new $500,000 home. You save 5% every year. What is that, $25,000 a year? Then
Yeah.
Hey, but imagine that. If you were that disciplined
That's a lot.
and you don't need it,
Right.
well, you can go spend it on something else.
It's
It's
go
like
to
a
Hawaii
great
or something.
it's a great reason to save money.
Yeah, sure, but I think we're going off the rails with that number because, I mean, even if you have to replace your furnace and your water heater and your air conditioner every single year, you're saving too much.
What does it
And
cost?
that's just ludicrous.
Yeah.
Well, okay, fine. So
Maybe
then
he's
lower it.
including utility costs and just
Yeah,
lawn
I didn't,
care and stuff.
I didn't drill into the number,
Yeah.
but I think they want people to be successful too. They don't
Right.
want people not doing that repair because they don't have any money, because
Yeah,
ultimately
to get
they're
caught
holding the
off
paper
guard.
on the house. And
Better safe than sorry.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
I mean, there's some
Totally
pretty
agree.
major expenses you can have if you're buying an older house. You
Right.
know, we didn't even talk about plumbing or electrical issues or anything like that.
Well, does
No.
an electrical panel end? Does it have a service life that you should replace it?
It does, actually. I mean, we've talked to electricians, and from what I gather is that they say, electrical panels do have a life expectancy, and I don't know, 50 years is what I've heard. Now, I don't know anyone that enforces that. We don't talk about that, certainly. I mean, we see panels that are 50 years old all the time, and we don't recommend replacing them. But
Yeah, common number I've heard repeated is 40 years even.
wow.
But yeah, that'll be the day that I inspect a 40-year-old panel and talk to somebody about
That's
replacing
crazy.
it. 'Cause,
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
me
1980.
personally, I wouldn't I wouldn't dream of doing that myself, just replacing a panel because it's old. And we're not going to be hypocritical about this. If we're not going to do it at our own houses,
Yeah.
I see no reason to tell my own clients, hey, you ought to replace your panel because it's 40 years old.
Yeah, I replaced mine because I sprayed water all over it.
Oh.
And I didn't.
Why did
that
you
wasn't
do that?
actually the reason that it got replaced. It got replaced because we added a circuit in our basement, and I was out of room, and I already had a sub panel that was out of room, and blah blah blah.
It was a mess. Yeah.
But nevertheless, we're rambling on and on about Bill's house, and nobody really cares. And they're
care.
more curious about why I sprayed water on it. But that's
I want to know.
Okay, so I'll make it quick. The dishwasher shut off, actually faced it, and we were doing some remodeling, and whoever shut it off didn't crank it off. They shut it off, and then it got bumped, and all of a sudden there was water spraying directly onto the service panel.
Oh, no.
And so 8 years later, we replaced it.
8 years later.
8
No
years.
rush.
Yeah.
Huh.
Oh, wow.
Anyway,
Okay.
like I said, we needed another circuit. Okay, are we forgetting anything? Like those are the
Yes.
big ones.
Yeah, I think, and over time, like you get a really old house and maybe you need to replace, windows and siding and stuff. But that's not something that you need to do.
No, but
Frequently
you
at
want to
all.
have some budgeting
Yeah.
money set aside for that because it'll start adding up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I think we've touched on some good topics here, and put some money in the bank, whether you follow the profit first model and attach it to your home like Reuben does with 7 different bank accounts, or you just
Very disciplined.
diligently slide some money underneath your mattress. Just make sure you have some cash available when that water heater goes out or the furnace goes out, because it will. Those chickens will come home to roost.
That's right.
Yes.
All right. Thanks, everybody. You've been listening to Structure Talk, a Structure Tech presentation. We will catch you next time. Bye.
For more information on how we can provide you with the right information about your home before you buy or sell, contact us at structuretech.com.